Hello everyone, today we are going to learn Chapter 14, Economic Activities Around Us, Part 1 from your Social Science textbook. In this video, I'll be covering each and every line from the chapter so you don't miss anything important. Make sure to keep your notebook and pen ready and take notes while watching. This will help you remember the concepts better. You can pause or rewind any time to write things down. So, let's begin. First, we have a quote from Kautilya's Arthashastra. Kautilya, also known as Chanakya, was a very wise teacher and advisor who lived over 2000 years ago during the time of the Maurya Empire. He helped Chandragupta Maurya become the first emperor of the Mauryan dynasty. Kautilya wrote a famous book called Arthashastra. Arthashastra is like a guidebook for good leadership and smart governance. Even today, people admire his ideas for being wise and practical. The root of prosperity is economic activity. The lack of it brings material distress. The absence of fruitful economic activity endangers both current prosperity and future growth. Prosperity means being happy, healthy, and having enough money and resources. Economic activity means all the work people do to earn and produce things like farming, trading, making goods, or providing services. So Kautilya is saying that a country becomes rich and happy only when its people are working and doing productive things. If people stop working or there is no trade or farming, then the country will face poverty and suffering. He also says that if we don't keep working hard today, our future will also suffer because growth depends on the work we do now. So, when people work and produce, the nation grows. When they don't, the nation becomes weak. So, the big questions are, how are economic activities classified? What differentiates these activities to be grouped into sectors? How are the three sectors interconnected? We will learn answers for these questions in this chapter. Introduction. In Chapter 13, we learned about two types of activities, economic and non-economic. Activities that create monetary value are called economic activities. We also learned about the importance of non-economic activities. To understand these activities better, we will learn how economic activities are classified and what differentiates them in this chapter. Monetary value, value of something that can be measured in terms of money. That is, if you can buy or sell something or earn money from it, it has monetary value. Example, a teacher's salary, a farmer's crops, or a shopkeeper's sales all have monetary value because they involve money. So, the value of something that can be measured in money is called monetary value. So, in your last chapter, that is chapter 13, you learned about two types of activities, economic and non-economic activities. Economic activities are the things people do to earn money. For example, farming, teaching, selling goods, or driving a bus. These activities have monetary value, which means they help people make a living. Non-economic activities are the things people do not for money, but for love, care, or happiness, like helping a friend, cooking for your family, or volunteering. In this new chapter, we will go a little deeper to understand how economic activities are divided into different types and what makes them different from each other. Over the decades, the number of economic activities has increased tremendously. For example, earlier most people were involved in activities such as agriculture, livestock rearing, production of tools, pottery, and weaving cloth. As societies progressed, the number of economic activities through which people earn their livelihoods increased vastly. So, a long time ago, people had only a few kinds of economic activities like farming, livestock rearing, making tools, pottery, or weaving cloth. Most people earn their living through these jobs. Livestock means animals that are kept and raised by people for food, work, or other products. Examples, cows, goats, sheep, buffaloes, chickens. Rearing means taking care of and raising living things, usually animals or plants, so they grow and stay healthy. So, livestock rearing means raising and caring for animals like cows, goats, and sheep for food, milk, wool, or work. So when society developed and technology improved, new kinds of work began to appear. People started working in factories, offices, shops, schools, banks, and many other places. So today, there are many more ways to earn a living than there were in the past. The number of economic activities has increased a lot over the years. Today, there are diverse economic activities such as manufacturing computers, mobile phones, and drones, working in banks, schools, and hotels, driving various types of vehicles for transportation, making furniture, tailoring clothes using machines, creating software, repairing refrigerators and washing machines, etc. Classifying all these activities helps us understand how they function and the links they have with each other. So today, people do many different kinds of jobs to earn a living. These include making computers, mobile phones and drones, working in banks, schools and hotels, driving vehicles, making furniture, stitching clothes, creating computer software, or repairing home appliances like refrigerators and washing machines. All these are economic activities because people earn money from them. By classifying or grouping these activities into different types, we can understand how each kind of work functions and how they are connected to one another. For example, a farmer grows cotton, a factory turns it into cloth, a tailor makes clothes, a shopkeeper sells them. All these jobs are linked with each other. The classification of economic activities into economic sectors. Some economic activities share similar characteristics, and based on this, they can be grouped together or classified into broader groups called economic sectors. The three main types of economic sectors are primary, secondary, and tertiary economic sectors. Economic sectors means broad groups that include various activities that help with the economic prosperity of a nation. So all the jobs people do to earn money are divided into big groups called economic sectors. Each sector plays an important role in making the nation rich and developed. Example, farming, factories and services like banking or teaching are all part of different economic sectors. So some economic activities are similar in nature. They involve the same kind of work or purpose. So to understand them better, we group these activities into bigger categories called economic sectors. There are three main types of economic sectors. Primary sector, that are activities that use natural resources directly like farming, fishing and mining. Secondary sector, activities that involve making or manufacturing things in factories like clothes, cars or furniture. And tertiary sector, that are activities that provide services instead of goods like teaching, banking or transportation. The illustration on the facing page maps out the broad activities under these categories. So we can see here how different jobs and activities are organized into three main economic sectors: primary, secondary and tertiary. It helps you see clearly which activities belong to which sector and understand how all these jobs are connected in the economy. Primary sector. These are activities that use natural resources directly. Examples: agriculture, that is farming; mining, extracting minerals; fishing, raising livestock, that is cows, goats, etc. Forestry, cutting and using wood. Secondary sector. These are activities that make or process goods from raw materials. Examples: construction, manufacturing, that is making products in factories; water supply, solar power production, electricity generation. Tertiary sector. These are service activities that help people or businesses. Examples: healthcare, trade and logistics, that is buying, selling or delivering goods; communication, banking and transportation. Now we will learn what each sector includes and why it is important and examples of activities in each sector in detail. A. Primary activities. Those economic activities in which people are directly dependent on nature to produce goods are known as primary activities or primary sector economic activities. Primary sector means the group of activities that involves extraction of raw materials directly from nature, such as farming, fishing, forestry, etc. So, the primary sector includes all activities that people take raw materials directly from nature. These are the first step in producing goods. Examples: farming, that is growing crops; fishing, that is catching fish; forestry, cutting and using wood from trees. In short, the primary sector is all about getting raw materials straight from nature. So, primary activities or primary sector economic activities are jobs where people get goods directly from nature. These activities depend on natural resources like soil, water, forest, and minerals. People earn money by producing things directly from nature. For example, work involving cultivation of grains and vegetables from agricultural farms, collecting wood from the forest, extracting coal from mines, fish from fisheries, eggs from poultry farms, etc. are all primary sector economic activities. This means that people who do work involving things from nature are part of the primary sector. For example, farmers grow grains and vegetables in their fields, people collect wood from forest, miners take out coal from the ground, fishermen catch fish from rivers, seas, or fish farms. Poultry farmers collect eggs from hens. All these jobs depend on natural resources like soil, water, forest, and animals. So, these are called primary sector economic activities because they are the first step in producing things we use every day. The most common primary activities are agriculture, mining, fishing, raising livestock, forestry, etc. Below are some of the types of activities within the primary sectors. So, the most common types of work that belong to the primary sector are things like agriculture, mining, fishing, raising livestock, that is taking care of animals like cows, goats, and sheep, and forestry, that is growing and using trees from forests. These are called primary activities because they all use natural resources like soil, water, trees, and animals to produce useful things for us. Now, let's look at some examples of these activities to understand them better. Greenhouse farming, that is growing fruits, vegetables, or flowers inside a special glass or plastic house where temperature and light are controlled. Mining, that is digging deep into the earth to get minerals like coal, gold, or iron. Fish farming or fishery, raising fish in tanks or ponds for food. Forestry, cutting trees for wood and other forest products. And the next one is raising livestock. Think about it. Can you think of any primary activities that you may have seen in the past? What are the natural resources used in these activities? Name 2 of them and discuss your experiences with your classmates. So, this question is asking you to think about primary sector activities that you have seen. Remember that primary activities are jobs where people get goods directly from nature, like farming, fishing, collecting wood, etc. Think about the natural resources used in these activities. Natural resources are things from nature that we use to make goods or to earn a living, like soil, water, trees, fish, animals, etc. So, you need to write 2 primary activities and discuss them with your classmates. Share your own experiences. Maybe you visited a farm, helped in a garden, or saw fishing in a river. I will give you a sample answer for this question. You can write your own answer based on this example. First one, farming. Farmers grow crops like rice, wheat, and vegetables. They use natural resources like soil, water, and sunlight to produce food. Second one, fishing. People catch fish from rivers, ponds, or the sea. They use natural resources like water and fish to earn their living. Next we have B, secondary activities. Economic activities in which people are dependent on outputs of the primary sector and transform them to produce goods are known as secondary activities or secondary sector economic activities. The secondary sector includes the construction of buildings, roads, etc. and providing utilities like water, electricity, gas, and other such necessities. It also includes the manufacturing of products in factories and production units. to process raw material from the primary sector into some other form that can be further sold or consumed. Secondary sector, the group of activities that involves processing of raw materials derived from primary sector into products for sale or consumption. So, the secondary sector includes jobs or activities where raw materials from the primary sector are changed or processed into useful things that people can use or buy. So, economic activities where people depend on the outputs of the primary sector. That means when they use the materials we get from nature like crops, minerals or wood and change them into new products that people can use or buy. These activities are called secondary activities or secondary sector economic activities. For example, people in factories process raw materials and make useful goods. This sector also includes the construction of buildings, roads and bridges and the work of providing important services like water, electricity and gas that we use every day. We call these secondary activities because they come after the primary ones. So first, the primary sector gives us the raw materials and then the secondary sector transforms them into finished products that are ready for use or sale. Some examples of secondary sector activities include the processing of grains obtained from agricultural fields to make flour in mills, extraction of oil from groundnut and processing of tea leaves to derive tea. Similarly, wood from the forest is converted into furniture and paper. Cotton is used to make clothes. And steel from iron ore is used to make automobiles like cars, trucks, etc. So let's look at some examples of secondary sector activities so you can understand them better. People take raw materials from the primary sector and change them into useful products. For example, grains from farms are processed in mills to make flour. Groundnuts are used to extract oil. Tea leaves are processed to make the tea we drink. Wood from forests is turned into furniture and paper. Cotton is used to make clothes. Iron ore is made into steel, which is then used to build cars and trucks. So the secondary sector is all about manufacturing or making new products from raw materials. These products can then be sold or used by people in their daily lives. Some more examples of secondary sector activities are shown in these pictures. First one, automobile factory. Here, workers and machines use iron, steel, rubber and glass to make cars. These cars are the finished products that people buy and use for travel. Second one, textile factory. In this factory, cotton from farms is turned into cloth and then stitched into clothes. It shows how raw cotton becomes a useful product through manufacturing. Pharmaceutical factory. This is a medicine factory. Scientists and workers make medicines using chemicals and natural materials to keep people healthy. Furniture production unit. Here, wood from forest is cut and shaped into furniture like tables, chairs and beds. Here, the raw wood becomes a finished product we use every day. Don't miss out. Here we have a table showing the types of automobiles and how many units were produced in India in 2022. This is a real-life example of secondary sector economic activities because making vehicles is part of the manufacturing process. Passenger vehicle like cars. 45 lakh cars were made. These are the cars people use to travel. Commercial vehicles like trucks. 10.3 lakh trucks were produced. These are used to transport goods across the country. Three-wheelers. 8.6 lakh three-wheelers were made. These are often used as auto rickshaws for short distance travel. Two-wheelers like bikes and scooters. 2 crore two-wheelers were made. These are very common and used by many people for daily travel. So this table shows that secondary activities like automobile manufacturing are very important because they produce large numbers of goods that people use in everyday life. Notice that two-wheelers are produced in the largest number, showing that some products are in higher demand. Let's explore. Now that we have seen some examples of secondary sector activities, can you name 2 more economic activities in the secondary sector? So now we have learned about secondary sector activities where raw materials from nature are processed into useful goods. You can try to think of 2 more examples on your own. Remember, these activities take raw materials and make something new. They can include manufacturing, construction, or providing utilities like water, electricity, or gas. You can write like making chocolate or sweets. Ingredients like cocoa, sugar, and milk are processed into chocolate or candies. Making paper from wood. Wood from forest is processed into paper sheets. So these are secondary sector activities because they take raw materials from nature or the primary sector and turn them into useful products. Next one is tertiary activities. All those economic activities that provide support to people involved in primary and secondary activities are called tertiary activities or tertiary sector economic activities. These include services that we may not be able to see but which still play a very important role. For example, the driver of a truck transports grains and vegetables from the farm to a factory or to the market. The fruit or vegetable vendors sell the farm produce to household consumers. Tertiary sector, the group of activities that involves the provision of services which complement both primary and secondary sectors, such as transportation, banking, and management of business. So this group of activities includes services that help both the primary sector and the secondary sector to work better. Examples include transportation, means all kinds of transport services that help move people or goods from one place to another. Banking, helping people and businesses with money. Business management, organizing and running companies efficiently. So, the tertiary sector doesn't make goods itself but provides services that support other sectors. So, the tertiary sector includes all activities that help and support people working in the primary and secondary sectors. These are mostly services. We may not see them like we see goods, but they are very important. For example, a truck driver moves grains and vegetables from the farm, that is primary, to the factory, that is secondary, or to the market. Fruit and vegetable vendors sell farm produce to households. In short, the tertiary sector doesn't make products itself, but it supports the economy and makes life easier for everyone. Similarly, doctors, nurses, teachers, lawyers, and pilots provide their services to those who need them. There are technicians who repair and service electronic items including mobile phones and televisions, mechanics who repair vehicles like cars and tractors, and electricians who ensure regular supply of electricity. Their services make our lives easier. So, the tertiary sector also includes people who provide important services to others. Doctors, nurses, teachers, lawyers, and pilots help people in different ways. Technicians repair electronic items like mobile phones and TVs. Mechanics fix vehicles such as cars and tractors. Electricians make sure electricity is supplied regularly. So even though these people don't produce goods, their work makes life easier and supports the primary and secondary sectors. Similarly, communication services through mobile and internet, software development and services at hotels, restaurants, banks, schools, hospitals, airports, shops, warehouses, etc. are all examples of tertiary sector economic activities. This sector is also called the service sector. Warehouses, large buildings used for storing products before they are sold, used or rented out to shops. So, warehouses are big buildings where goods and products are kept safely before they are sold, used or sent to shops. For example, grains from farms, clothes from factories or toys from manufacturers can be stored in a warehouse until they are needed. Warehouses help keep products safe, organized and ready for distribution. So, the tertiary sector is also called the service sector because it includes all activities that provide services to people and businesses. Some examples are communication services like mobile phones and the internet, software development, services at hotels, restaurants, banks, schools, hospitals and airports, shops and warehouses that store and sell goods, Even though these activities don't produce goods, they help the economy run smoothly and make our lives easier. Some pictures are given here. First, we have software development, where people create programs, apps, and websites that help businesses and individuals. Next, services at restaurants, where chefs and waiters prepare and serve food to customers. Services at airports, where staff help passengers travel safely, check luggage, and manage flights. Finally, retail stores, where shopkeepers sell goods to customers and help them choose what they need. All these activities don't produce goods themselves, but they provide important services that support the primary and secondary sectors and make our lives easier. So with this, we have completed the part 1 of the chapter, Economic Activities Around Us. I hope you found it easy to understand. If you want to see more videos like this, don't forget to like, share and subscribe to our channel. Thanks for watching. We will see you again in our next video. Bye bye.